Going to college or university can widen horizons. College is an escape from the familiar, an introduction to different habits, interests, points of view, and especially new friends. Even young people who end up in careers that do not require an academic degree may still find that direction only once they get to college and gain some distance, figuratively, if not literally, from the routines and expectations they grew up with.
Okay, so one, he's describing growing up.
Yeah, I said this before. If your child doesn't know what they want to do, figuring out what they want to do with their life in college is the worst place in the world to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, it's a fake world where they're spending money they don't have to be.
Exactly. It is the real world. It doesn't expose you to different things. It doesn't expose you to different people. It doesn't expose you to the world.
I'm glad you said that, because where he says this college will introduce you to different interests, points of view, and new friends, habits, interests. Some of the habits are going to be substance abuse habits and overeating habits. And then also it doesn't introduce you to people that are different than you at all. Kellogg at Northwestern shows college students have less cross-cultural, less cross-race, and less cross-class interactions than they would in the wild. The reason for that is because colleges self-select for kids from families over a certain income. That's the reason. And it's also the biggest contributing factor to that higher earnings. It has nothing to do with college. It has everything to do with the fact colleges are screening for kids with a socioeconomic advantage, and then the colleges are saying that that's a result of the purchase that they're made.
I agree with everything that you said there. Not only that, so one, let's talk about the selection bias. That's what you're talking about, which is, oh, wow, look at all these people.
They do so well from the 18 years before getting to you. It's in spite of you.
You've picked people that look like this, whatever the economic breakdown is. Well, let's just say if you're doing a study of whether or not kids are healthy, 18-year-olds are healthy, and then you're like, okay, well, the people that I'm going to choose to do my study with are going to be D1 athletes, 18-year-old D1 athletes. And they're going to be like, well, and look, the population of America looks really good. The outcome, these guys are super healthy. Well, you selected wrong. And so that's selection bias. What I wanted to talk about, which is, I hear what you're saying about screening for the socioeconomic advantages and then claim responsibility for it. I just want to talk about the selection bias and this goes especially for the upper mid-tier and the upper tier schools. I'm talking about in price. The more expensive the school, the more selective it will be, because not as many people can afford it, which will then mean the only people that can afford it are those in the socioeconomic background or in the economic background that can afford, let's just say, $50,000 to $80,000 a year. Expensive. And there are not very many people that will sign on to those loans. And some of those people at those schools don't even need loans. I've said this before, but you know where you meet people that are different than you, and that's at work. Because you actually do meet people that are different than you, because the only thing that you and this other person have in common is the thing that your company does. Even if you're on a one-person department, even if you're this janitor of this law office, the one thing that you all have in common is that you work at this law office. That's it. Then you have people that make millions of dollars a year in the building, and then you have you that probably make the least amount of money in the building. And then you have everybody in between.
It's so wild. I just saw a clip of Malcolm Gladwell saying he's not sure he's going to send his kids to college. And the reason was because he has a problem with the elitism that we just talked about. And he made an observation that never occurred to me.